Breaking news, hundreds of protesters taking to the streets for the fourth night in a row in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota. That's right outside Minneapolis. You're looking live at our feed there from our station, so you're looking at a reporter who's talking over that. But protesters are demanding justice after 20-year-old Dante Wright was shot and killed by an officer during a traffic stop.
A former Brooklyn Center officer, Kim Potter, is now charged with second-degree manslaughter in that shooting. Body cam video shows her shouting "Taser" and then firing her gun instead. And now there are a number of questions, of course. How could this veteran officer of 26 years mix up the two?
Well, WCPO 9 News reporter Kristen Swilley spoke with a law enforcement expert about the training designed to prevent this and shares what could have gone wrong.
Former UC Police Chief Gene Ferrara has trained officers for 48 years. He says since tasers were introduced here in Cincinnati, they've been placed on the opposite side of the body as the gun. But he says there were likely a number of factors at place during the shooting.
This has truly been a tragic and difficult week for the people of Brooklyn Center.
In the midst of an emotional firestorm, this Minnesota town and many across the country are left wondering how this could have happened.
To charge the former Brooklyn Center police officer with manslaughter comes a prolonged period of continued grieving.
We turn to Gene Ferrara, who isn't familiar with the case or the Brooklyn Center Police Department, but has trained officers for nearly 5 decades.
Well, when I started all those years ago, it was pretty simple.
Since then, pepper spray and tasers are among the things members of law enforcement are now responsible for. But there are safeguards in place in many departments to keep mistakes from happening.
One, you'd have to cross draw to get to the taser, which kind of would be an indicator that, whoops, this is different.
When you're holding your gun, when you're holding your taser, how different do they feel?
Well, they're both a hand grip, but in the calm coolness of qualification, that distinction would be noticeable. In the heat of battle, under fire, so to speak, tense situations, and you may not make that same distinction quite so easily.
He says local departments are familiarized at least once a year with firearm placement as a part of continued training. But he says what happened in Minnesota is enough to put agencies across the country on notice.
I'm going to guess that the vast majority of departments are going to step back and look at their own placement, procedures, and training.
The Brooklyn Center Police Department policy manual clearly states that the gun and the taser are supposed to be kept on opposite sides of the body, but the police chief did clarify earlier this week that individual officers do determine that placement. Kristen Swilley, WCPO 9 News.